Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture. We're going to learn application using React.js, HTML, and I am Ankun Ghosh, your instructor in this course, and I will be teaching how to manage component APIs and to render it, and how to manage each component with a proper file structure, etc. So before getting into the project, I will also demonstrate you how to initialize your project in your laptop. You must have Node.js installed because without that you cannot run the Node package manager. And you should be familiar with the HTML, CSS and JavaScript as because they are the very prerequisite for this project, and I will show you everything in very details. The topics we'll be discovering or covering inside our lecture is that I will be mainly focusing on using the hooks for the React, which is a vital part to for someone learn the React and make projects, and which will also affect your resume in future. So I will just mainly focus on that, and that is in this project we can just use reducer, use effect hook, and use set hooks is all this kind of thing, also the CSS designing. So don't worry, I will just define everything very briefly and the needed thing with very enlarged topic. Also we are going to learn how to the manage of this video, the videos component 1 and to player 1 and etc etc. So don't worry about that. We will be using the iframe to play the video, so there is no issue. And I would like to thank you, and let's proceed to the next lecture to get started with our project. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. This video is quite special today as we are going to build a whole React application from scratch. This video is for anyone wanting to learn and advance in React by creating a real project from scratch. Building this project will solidify your knowledge of all the main concepts of React. This project will also include working with components, project structure, lifecycle, method, states management, and passing props from parent to child component, API request, as much more in this video is suitable for everyone who is just starting with React and for those that already know quite a bit but want to improve their knowledge. So as you can see right here, we are going to build a YouTube clone application. All of the data will be live fetched from real YouTube API. So these are real videos and you can play them right here. Let's take a look and finished product we are going to build in YouTube clone application that is going to fetch real data from YouTube API. So as you can see right here, we have one big video, and here then you can choose from any of the other videos right here by clicking on its left. It will display all right here. Then you can play it above the search bar, so you can search for any term you want. So llamas are cool, so let's search for llamas. Now llamas, as you can see right here, we are going to just see videos. You can open it right here and then you can play it on, or you can just open it YouTube by clicking on right here. So simple as that. You can search for terms, you can display them right here. We have 5 title cards and you click on them, you get the video, so that you can get any of your choice video. And this video is special because in this little project you can learn quite a lot of important concepts in React. As I mentioned, we will be working on project structure, also passing props from child components or parent components to child. So as you can see here, we are first all the data from little right items. Here to maintain iframe, right here we are also going to learn about methods. So right here where one have handle change method, and we need to pull all these things information in the state and later send it to somewhere on the API to catch all the data from these videos. So as I say, quite a lot of important concept. Let's not stall anymore and let's get straight to the coding. We are going to start with a clean directory right here. So we can start from the bare beginning. Visual Code has built-in terminal right here. You can visit it by going view and then terminal right here. But you can also use the other terminal like command prompt or Windows and terminal on Mac. Let's first create React app. So we are going to use boilerplate React application. You need to have create React app. So create React app install globally on your device, so you can use it as a method you need to have. So let's do npm I and then g4 and create React app, this will install create React app globally on your device so that you can call it and create as many React projects as you want to create React app. If you don't want already have it to, you need to install it globally on your device. So you can run npm I hyphen global for global and create React app. This will install create React app globally on your device. So you can create as many React projects as you would like. Important thing that if you are on a Mac, you will need to add sudo on the beginning and then you will need to type your password. I'm not going to do that since I already have it installed. So you can do that and then we can start by typing create React app and then just dot slash sit. Since we are already in the directory, we want our project to be, if you are not in the directory, you can do it like this. So YouTube API, this will create a new directory for you, but we are already on the, as we are on the directory, so we are not going to do that now. As you can see right here, create React tab is going to start create our terminal initially boilerplate project structure right here. For us, we are going to wait for that and then you will be right here. Okay, now that everything is completely okay, now that everything is successful setup, we are need to install our necessary dependencies, and the dependencies we are going to use for this video are Axios. So we're going to run npm I, there is three save Axios, and we are going to use material UI. So we can type material UI where, and while that's installed, we can head up to the browser and check what material UI has to offer. So material UI getting started guide, let's see what is the material React component for stir and easier web development. Build your own design system or start with material design. Basically, material UI has spread up rebuild pre-styled components that you can use it, so we don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about designing things. We can just go them and we can predefine material UI components such as button, for example, or a nav bar or something like that. So we immediately get good looking code. Everything is styled with material design in mind. So it follows the patterns of material design. We can check some of the components right here. So we can go under components. It has a container system. So everything can be nice and contain also a grid system. So when we have those cards, we can use the grid system, and it also has something like buttons, and you can see here no need to style. We can just call this button right here and then we are going to import from material UI. There are no prerequisite to this. I'm going to show you how to do everything, how to import it, how to use it, and going to get to know material UI better so you can use it on your own application. So let's get back to our code, and this has installed correctly. We can now run npm start to see if our project will run correctly in the browser. Well, that loads, we can just clean this project structure. So we are going to remove src directory fully and we are going to create a new one there, and there is no need for all the boilerplate code right here inside of where we can also remove our favicon and our manifest. Inside our src directory, we can simply create an index, that is, and inside of the index, that is, we are going to have import React from React. Also, we are going to have to import React DOM from React DOM. This is just one file that basically sets up application, so it renders that application in a certain route of your HTML document. So we are going to import app which doesn't exist yet. From that splash and slash app, we are going to place it right there, and then within this command react on render, we are going to use this app right here. And the second property to our render function is document that query selector, and we are going to target our root right here. So let's explain what that means. But first, let's just create our app component. So app the js app.js, so we don't get an error here. In here we are going to create a simple React application. We are going to do the same thing once again. by typing import React from React, and just below we are going to type class app extends React that component, and we need to have a render function, and then we need to have a return statement inside of it, just like this. In here we can return our code. So for now we are just going to create return one simple heading which will always say YouTube clone app. And now we need to export it by typing export default OK. So let's review what we just did right here. In here we have created a class of app, and this app has render and return function, as all React classes have components in React. Can be defined in two different ways. One is class based component and other is the functional component. This component has access to the state, and most of the smart so-called components need to be class based. So they have a return statement, and they will also have a lifecycle methods, and they manage the state. But in React we also have so-called dummy components, and these are basically function based components. So we can create this app. We are just going to comment it right here, just like this. Const app is equals to error arrow function, and then it returns something like h1 clone YouTube clone, just like this. We need to have return statement, and this will basically output the same code. This is okay for now, but we add additional logic. This will not be enough, so sometime we need to translate these function based components to class based. So let's remove this for now and uncomment this, and now this component is being imported into our index pages. We are getting it right here, and React DOM is going to render our app component inside of our root is basically a div with an ID. We can check it right here. So if we go index.html, we can see that we have in body just one single div with id root, and it's completely empty. All of our application is going to be inside of this just because we imported our app. That is right here. Now we can get back to our browser and see if it is look. We refresh and we get YouTube blown up, so we don't never need to change this index.html React. Just forget it, close the public folder, and that's it. We are just going to use this src. Every other component that we create is going to be inside this component folder, and we are just going to import it into the app, and app is simply going to display to the index, and we are going to get it right away. So now we are going got the basic project structure done, and let's move to create real components that are actually going to do something. And just under the src folder we are going to create a new folder that will be called API. Inside of here we will have only one file called YouTube. So, and inside of here we will be using Axios. So we need to import Axios from Axios. We previously installed it and can check whether it is installed by going to the package.json and seeing it under dependencies right here. Now we can use this Axios to make a request to the YouTube API, but we are not going to make a request here. We are just going to export our function that is going to make a request. So export default Axios that create, and you may never seen this. We are not actually using access that get, but we are just using Axios that create. That is going to help us make easier get requests later. We use because in here we can specify the base URL, and we can also specify our params. So params are something that you have after the base URL. But let's check the YouTube API in the Chrome browser. So inside there it is YouTube v3 slash getting started. We will leave the link in the description, and we will just, and in here you have the overview for the API. So before you start, you need a Google account to access your API console, and you need an API key. You need to create a project in Google Developers Console, and OPT credentials. And then after you create the project, you need to go to the API console and enable this API. That's basically is to create Google account, create project console, that is developers.google.com. And inside of here, this is your YouTube app dashboard. So inside of here, you are going to do enable APIs and services, and you are going to choose YouTube and YouTube data API version 3. And inside of here you will need to enable it and get the API key for this. And specific API you can do it by going credentials right here. Afterwards you are going to back to your application, and we are just going to use the basic URL, that is http and then www.google.com/mapmarker. So it looks like something like this. For example, we need a bit key, so it would be a p key equals to some numbers, and then also have, for example, a search query equal to llamas as we saw before and stuff like that. But this makes our URL unreadable, and Axios provides us with a way to do it right here. So if you just type start snippet right here, it is as same as typing right here but equals part equals snippet. So just basically a cleaner syntax. And part snippet, you can find it in the API documentation. Basically it means that it is going to return our videos, and also we can specify another parameter. So then what you can do, as you can see, we have a nice longer search bar right at the top. Now we can get back and we need to add our event handlers. So let's do just that on submit on the forum, or it's going to call that handle submit. So we are going to have special method for handling our form submit. And in here on the text field we can also write it as a self closing tag, because we are going to have anything inside of it, inside of where we can also add some methods. And we can add an own change method. This is a really important method in React. It handles input and changes the state based on these changes. So we are going to call this that handle change when the unchanged event listener is called. Now on this text field, so let's do just there is an way to React usually have to bind all of your functions. So we are going to React binding, or and inside of here I will show you how do we need bind or our functions in React when you add a method in our class. So handle click for example and declare it as a normal function. So all the functions have a scope and have their own base statement like this, and this isn't going to be refreshing our whole class, so which it would. And because of that we need to bind our whole class. Now there is a simple workaround around this, and it makes you not unnecessary code. So it makes you not add any unnecessary code. We can simply do it like this handle change, and we can declare it as an arrow function. Arrow functions are special because they do not have their own disk, or so simply this will refer to class and not to D. Not to do this in this function. Okay, if it's not confusing, let's go ahead. Inside here we are going to set. We're going to set the state. It's really important method in React. It simply sets the state, this exact object right here, and makes React components. So we're going to set state. So set state is really important method in React. It simply sets the state, this exact object right here, and makes React components know that what's the current state of some property in the state object. You should or show, so you declare it like this, you call it like a function and provide an object in here. So we specify what we want to change. So we want to change our search term, and we are going to do it like this handle change method accepts one value, and it is event. So we are going to have event here and here, then the value of our input is going to be hidden inside of our event. That target that value, first we are going to comment this out and simply console.log our event that target menu. So you can see exactly what we are going back inside unchanged fox and function. We are going to go back to the browser and back to our application. We are going to open our console. So going to inspect right here, opening our console. We are going to remove these errors right here and let's get back to our search term. So let's type YouTube video. As you can see here, as we type one letter, we get the full search term back. So now we know that our search term is sorted or stored right here, and here we can remove this as simply set our search term equal to even that target that value. That's it. This function will update our search term in the state. Since we have only one return statement, then right here we can also type it like this one line and it will do the same thing. Okay, now we can write here our handle submit function. We are also going to write it like an error function, and inside of here we are going to fetch our search term from the state. So this is another huge thing in React. It's called the structuring. It was brought in this ES6 to the JavaScript, and it majorly changed the way that we write JavaScript. So this line right here, if you have ever never heard of the structuring, basically takes in the search term from this state. Let's say we have lot of values, so we have the value 1 value, 2 value, 3 value and lot of values every time. We want to do something with those values. If we didn't have this destructuring, we would need to do something like this, that state that search term, or this that state that value this value. And as we one can see, with only three values this gets quite repetitive. But if we declare it like this and we simply destructure it, this the state to use the search term, we can simply call it like this. We can remove all this stuff right here and we can only call it like this. Much cleaner and much less cold repetition. We don't actually have the values 1 and 2, so we are going to delete, and then we only have our search term. I hope I proved you the structuring, and React is really important. And now the question is, what are going to do is that we with this search term we are going to let it move from our search bar component to our app, that is component, because we need to have it right here. So inside of our app, that is, we are going to create a new property on our search bar called on form submit, and then inside of here we are going to have another function called handle submit. This is going to have handle submit for our app. Yes, so this may look a bit weird for now, but just hang on. So basically with this date drop props and in this component, we'll be able to access our own form submit, and we will immediately transfer our state and search terms to our app, the GS component with this property. So let's get back to our search bar, and below this state we can call this dat properties and the structure of our property. So we called it on from submit, and we are going to get exactly that. So we are going to get on from submit, and now with the search term we're going to write on form submit, and we are going to prove or provide our own search term. So there is the only one more line that we're going to need. Basically all the forms in HTML or React or any other web development, if you type something here like YouTube and press enter, it is going to refresh. Basically in React we never want to have a full refreshing page, we just want to have something happening on our own components. So we never want to have a refresh to a React application. So we can do that easily by typing this, that by typing event, also we need to fetch that event here. So like we did right here, event that prevent event.prevent default, this will prevent the default behavior of a browser refresh. And if we get back and refresh, if you typed YouTube and press enter. Okay, that didn't go quite as planned, but we're going to finish this whole form submission right here. Maybe that has to do something with the refresh, and then we'll try to fix it. So this is the main part of building application in React. You go through them and you fix mistake as you go. So let's go to our own form submit and let's see how we can fetch this data inside of our own Dodge as is. So right now inside of our search bar true, this props will be providing data to our own form submit. If you get back to your own component or your app, yes, in here we have our own form submit now, and we are going to write this function right here. And we write this, it may be a bit more clear what are we exactly calling right here. So this function doesn't exist yet, we are just going to create it and then it's going to come through this prop. So sorry if I want a bit faster. So there, so inside of here, just above the render function, we are going to have a handle submit, and it is also going to be an error function. And as we can right now see clearer that handle submit or own form submit is our own search bar has a parameter, and the parameter is indeed a search term. So we are going to have that parameter right here, so we can use it also. Since we are going to fetch some data from the YouTube API, this function needs to be asynchronous. If you have never heard of the synchronicity in JavaScript, I have a great tutorial, and we can just go to line here, and we are only use async and await to fetch real data. Basically it stop the execution of the code until something is fetched. If you haven't checked it out, I will just suggest you to check once for the documentation in Google and continue. So we will have a response from the YouTube API. We are finally getting some things to happen. And inside of here, since we are inside of the async function, we're going to use evade now, and we are finally going to call our YouTube API. So YouTube that get this is basically an actual instance of a fetch. So we are going to call YouTube that get. If you remember, this YouTube is coming from that slash API slash YouTube, and this is our Axios that creates so our base URL plus all the parameters over here. And we are simply going to do do like this and search, which is basically a continuation of base URL. So everything that we are going to, we had to under this base URL plus forward slash search, and then we're going to have our parameters. We are going to destructure them. YouTube use it q, and so basically q is a query, I guess, and it is going to be our search term. So you will also use it like this, and it is not a capital S. So search term right here, I need to refactor this. Okay, now we are getting YouTube that get forward slash search, and we are passing in one parameter we specified, which is basically as search term and window, and we need to put it under q because it is query and it is default for YouTube API. Right here we can console that log our responses, or rather than, and see what to do we did and get. So now let's recapitulate what we have done and handle this submit function, and we are providing this handle submit on our search bar. We're going into our search bar now. We have access to this own form submit, and through this that drops because we have passed it, and now we can use it. We can call this on form submit and provide our search term, and that we are getting from the state. I hope everything is a bit clearer right now. So right now if you just get back and refresh our open our console before we check, and we can get back to you solve these warnings right now. And because that doesn't look good, basically it says the material label doesn't want a spacing of 16, so we are going to go back and change it from 16 to, and the desired input, so we are going to change this from now and edit but here, and basically this material UI provides all the suggestion. Now we are going to just add up like so. We are going to fix the error according to our need, but what the error is basically showing is that it doesn't support. So we are going to see for the solution if we just hit the right one. So we are going to 10 right here and see what we get. Okay, now this warning is gone, and then now we need to check our manifest. Since we deleted our manifest, we probably have it still specified right here, and we can also remove that, so we get rid of warning now, and there is no warning. Okay, and we are ready to do a search term, and we're going to type YouTube and press enter. Okay, we're back in here after spent a long time debugging this problem with this YouTube API. I figured that the problem with Axios. So it looks like the time when I was building this project myself, Axios version changed, and they changed something regarding the parameters. Now these parameters are not correctly passing towards our axioms, so that get our or gets our YouTube as we created it right here. So we need to just do one thing, that is we need to use them explicitly in our calls. So we are going to copy these parameters right here, and we are going to go back to our app data, and yes, now we are going to paste them right here. We are going to create YouTube that get, and then we are going to just to have search, so that this is going to be v3 and forward slash search, and all the parameters were going to be specified in this object as a second parameter, which will be max results, that will be specified to 5. So we don't fetch a 100 videos, we are just going to fetch 5, and inside of here you will need to paste your API key. So for now I am not going to paste it, you can just paste it here. I am going to do that later when I close this file. So we are not going to use it anymore, but basically that is it for this file. Inside of here, when you paste your key, that is going to be in your Axial's request is created, and you can successfully call it to get a 5 videos for your search. That is it. To right now I am going to paste my key inside here, and I will see you in the next file. Now we can create the basic of our application inside our app. That is, so everything that we will write be inside of here, and then all the specific components we will write it inside of here. So let's do it. First, let's import all the components that we are going to use for material UI code. So import, and then curly braces, grid from, and then material UI, and then slash, or that's the, it is the right grid is the only component that we are going to use in this component. Now inside of here we are also can import our YouTube. So import YouTube from, then slash API slash YouTube. Now we have reference to our actual instance. We can call later. Notice that here we have curly braces, and here we don't. That simply means that this is not default export, and that is one is, so inside of the API be settled export default. That means that there is simply one export, and it is that YouTube this material UI code has a lot of stuff, so we need to specify exactly one we want to fetch, and in this case we are fetching grid. So let's create our initial structure of our app. That is, inside of here we are going to have a grid, and that grid is going to be a type of container. We are going to container, and we are going to add spacing of 16. Now first thing I would like to mention is that you do not need to know everything about material UI. If you go back to, and we can go into our material UI, and we check for components, we check for grid inside of our of here, you can see all the stuffs that I'm going to type. But here we will need to go to into that. If you are not interested in learning material UI right now, you can just copy what I type, and that is simply and purely for the styling. But if you want to learn material UI, which is really cool and way to display data in a nice way in React, I think I would like to mention is that in this video we will do styling in inline CSS. Now it isn't usually a good practice, because when you have a lot of styling, it is really makes your files unreadable, and it is better way to do them directly in separate CSS file. But for this video or for this project, since we have a little not to styling, little we have to just do a little styling, just a few lines we are going to do in it lines to save time. Okay, with that said, let's move on further with creating our app inside of our. So we are just going to add justify, which is going to be equal to center. Simply means that our grid will be centered. Inside that, our grid will be centered. Inside the grid are just going to have another grid. This time it is going to be a type of item, and x is going to be equal to 11. Basically there are 12 spaces in material UI in grid. As you can see right here, if you specify 12, it is going to take full width, 6 is going to take half, 3 is going to take 1/4 of the full width. So let's make it 12 to use full width, and now we can use, or we are going to do another grid. This may look weird, but it's completely adorable, or it is completely doable, which is going to be a type of container. So container, and we will be having a space of 16 in that grid. We are going to have a search bar. So we are going to type grid, because we need another grid item, and that is going to be a type of item with x is being equal to 12. And inside of here, we're not going to type anything right now, but inside of here we have our search bar. So we are going to type search bar when you create a component for the search bar. It is going to go in here. Now we are going to have another grid just below this one, and it is going to be also a type of item, and its size going to be let's say 8. With that said, we need another grid to fill this for left out space, and it is going to be in here. So in here we will have our video detail, which is also going to be a separate component, and inside of here we are going to have our own video list, which we will be all other 4 or 5 remaining videos to choose from it. If you are wondering how to do comments in React, you use it with this syntax, or just simply use command slash to comment or uncomment something. That our is basically it our whole structure done. Now this component is going to manage our state, is going to display our videos, is going to import all the other components. So now let's create a placeholder for importing those components. We are going to import not defaulting imports, so we are going to import that curly braces search bar. Those components don't exist, but we are going to create them just now. Video list and video detail from that component, we are going to create them in that's here. That's it. This is another huge trick. People usually import stuff like this, so I will show you the long way and why it is not a correct way to do it. So people usually do it like this: component search, and then they do it components with the oldest, and also components we had video detail. So in here we have lines that they are completely variable or variable by it. I will show you simple way to make it one line as we saw before. Let's create those dummy components. We're going to into components and create a new file. We're going to have a search bar, and we'll also list address and also video detail, and then that is okay. Now inside of our we need to import them, and then we are going to just that. So if we create in component, we are going to do search first. So after importing, so if we create a simple React component, we need to have our search, and a search will be as a class based component, because it is going to be a managing search term state. So we are going to do everything that we are used to import React from React, and then we are going to use our class. We are going to name it search bar and then extend React, that component capital C, and then we are going to have our render and return for our, now we are only going to return our h1 saying this is a search bar component. Okay, now we are going to do export default search bar. Okay, this is an example of class based component. We need to have it as a class based component because in here we will managing state. So we are going to have something like equal state to, we will have a search item which is going to be empty string at the beginning, and then we are going to use state modifiers to modify our state. They, on a search component we are going to have right in here, but now on the contrary we have something like video detail, and video detail is simply going to be a dummy functional component. So here we are going to do the same thing at the beginning. So import React from React, but inside of here we are going to have const video detail is equal to, and it is simply arrow function, and inside of where we can type return and return h1. This is a video detail component. Okay, we need to spell it correctly, and we will do export default after this text. So we'll do the export default and then video detail. So I have created this boilerplate for these two components just to show you how we can import them correctly. So now if we get back to our app, that is, and we comment this out because we imported only these two now. So you can see we're importing search bar from that slash component, so that's inside of our here slash search bar, and we are getting our full component right here, and that's worked completely well. So if we just uncomment this out and video detail and search bar and actually do them as a component, so we are going to have a search bar and we are going to have our video details since we aren't going to have anything inside of them. So for now we can simply import them as a self-closing tags. So we are going to remove this and we're going to add a closing tag for this component. We're going to say remove this and add this. Okay, now we're going to expect to see this is our search bar and video detail component. So I will use npm start and we will just now see that in the browser. Okay, so there is one thing I have left purposely, that here you can see right here I have clearly braces. If you remember correctly, inside of our we have export default does not really curly braces, so we are just going to remove them right here. And I hope you have noticed that now we can visit our browser at localhost 3000, and now you can see that both of our component are being imported right here. That is great, but now I would like to show you the quicker way. So imagine if we had like 10 or 20 components right here, it would take to 20 lines of just writing import statements. But we can do is create an index igneous, and inside our component X folder export and then curly braces default as search bar. This is just the name and we wanted it to have an, then from that slash bar. So we are doing everything in one single file. We can copy this line in here, we can type video detail. Okay, right now we can just get back to our app, and that is we can simply import all of it this from just one single location. So it will be in that slash component. You have indexed files, you don't have to specify them. Like this index files are special because if you just want to have something from the component folder and you put it inside the index file, you do not need to specify it like this. You can just write components. So now we are going to turn this from a default expert to not default expert, and here we are going to get the both video detail and search bar. Okay, I was just messing with this one little thing, and this little mistake, I have misspelled search right here, and now that everything is correct, we are simply getting all the components right back. So if we get back and refresh, you can see that we get both components. This is really an awesome tip and a huge practice that is being used in React, because React is really modular, and this helps you that you can simply add or remove their component like this and simply import all in one line. Okay, so now that is done, we have created all the project structure and we have two components. So let's start working on those components. We'll start with search, and inside of here we are going to first import everything that we are going to use from our material UI code, and that is going to be our paper, which is basically erase div and text field. So from and then material UI, add material UI for okay. Now we are going to have a paper. As I said, you don't need to worry about what things are inside, where we are going to have it from inside the form. We're going to have one text field. That text field is going to be of full width, and it is going to have a label equal to search dot dot, and then now on the paper let's an elevation of 6, and let's add a style of padding equal to 25 pixel. So this is just a step to it looks nice, and now we can check how that looks in the browser to our YouTube. That gate, I spent quite some time now trying to fix this issue with Axios. Our parameters right here, I'm going to use my real API key right here, but it is going to be closed after this video. So it doesn't matter, use your own. And now if we have this working right here, that should be finally working. We also need to specify our queue as a query, and that is our search term, which is coming from our search term come. And so now we're finally set up. Well, it's not finally for you, it was immediately for you. I just spent like 10 or 20 debugging problems over here. But that happens. I meant to say I just spent about 10 to 20 minutes over there for the debugging. Now it may not happen. Let's finally get back to our component. As you can see, I was checking our request, but now if we go within the console and we type YouTube, we finally get back our data in here under the data, and then under items we have all our 5 videos. Let's narrow down our search. You are just going to console that log response, that data items, and if we go back and refresh, type else again, so YouTube, press enter. Now get a clear array with 5 objects. Every object has an e tag and id, and everything is inside of this snippet. So object has a snippet of channel id, channel title, description, live broadcast, content published. That we also have thumbnails, so that is easily great. Now we have all the data necessary, and then to create our YouTube iframe and YouTube thumbnail. So if we go back now, we can set the state and then the status also with this data. So we can have two state properties in this app main component. So we are going to have state is equal to an object, and first will be videos. So at the beginning, videos will be an empty array, and we also have selected video which are going to use later, and that is first going to be set to now. So now we need to set state. We'll use this. Now this will use this set state, and we're going to set the state of videos to response that data and that item as we saw right now, and we are going to set the selected video to response that data, that items, and going to pick the first video whole search, so that basically it for this and then submit. Now we have this data and we can manage it. So inside of the video details we can now pass this video or this search items and actually display them. So let's do just that right now, and we can provide component called video detail and property called video, and that is going to be our selected video. So we are simply going to pass this and that it in that selected video. But as we learned before, the structuring helped us quite a lot. We can use const and then curly braces selected. Now up till now I ensure that you have just learn it properly. Now just focus on each thing I am talking about, that is the curly braces I have just talked recently. Now curly braces is basically for a rendering statement. Now what I mean by the rendering statement is that, let's suppose we have some function, and the function will hold the syntax, that is every function and component inside it, inside the second bracket. Now, if we just want to make a function which will render a simple button or anything, now we have to put it inside a first bracket, because when we type a return statement, if we just keep the first bracket over here, we don't have to keep the return statement. So that is why the first bracket is basically used. And till now, what I have done is just to import component and render it properly and to show into the browser. We are using the first bracket only, that is basically referred to a rendering. And you will also make learn until you just make a progress and make on also more projects. So by this way you can just learn more about this react and this first brackets or first braces components and the return statements. Now let's come to the point, that is this selected video equals this that state now, and we can remove this state. And from here, now as we have learned, if we go inside of the video detail, we will have property called video, and it will have all the data for this video. We can come inside of the video detail and we can start creating it. So as before, we are going to import all the necessary stuff from our material UI. It is going to be paper and typography, and we are going to import it from add material you like, or and we can start creating it. And so as it we have learned in class based component, you can access the properties or props, that means the parameters, by going into this and that props. So class based component have the on form some bit, as we passed it right here, they have access to it. Now under this states that props that name, so it is on form submit, and in the functional based components we have them under props. We have one object which is props, and then we can call it and do something like props that video. And as if I passed it by using the destructuring, we can simply destructure these props and take all necessary properties. So we can simply do it like this. Now we have X to our videos. So what we are going to return in this, we are going to return react that fragment, which is basically an empty div, because we need to have elements contained in one div. We cannot have ejected elements being returned. And first we are going to have a paper, and below that we are going to have another paper. Both are going to have an elevation of 6. Now here comes also, now this, what do you mean by this fragment? Is basically, fragment is kind of thing which is neither a div, or not any component of HTML. So React fragments basically provide us a feature to just enwrap everything. If you just say, let's imagine for a component inside your browser which is holding a search bar then a button, but you are making the search bar and button differently in two divisions. So if you want to enwrap these two things inside a div, but you don't want a div, so in that case, so let's say if you have just two or more than two components, you just have to enwrap this in a single unit, else you cannot return a statement in React DOM or React rendering method. So in that case, you have to use this React fragments, which is a simple bracket or simple tag, which is a opening and closing tag but without any context inside it. And by using this React fragment and by unwrapping all whole components inside it, we can just get use or get rendered and get rid of the errors inside our browser. Now going to have an elevation of 6, and first one is going to have one styling of height which is going to have equal to 70%. Okay, and the second one is going to have some padding, so we are going to do this style equals to padding and it will be equal to 15 pixel. So just like that, now we can get back to our adding our content. So in here we have a iframe. Iframe will display the video for us. So inside, let's add some necessary properties. We are going to put frame border to 0 because we don't want to have an ugly looking border. So we are going to set a height of 100% and also we are going to set width to 100%. We are going to also give it a title which is going to be a video player, and now the most important thing we are going to give it is a src because the source is mandatory. So basically src is the url of our video, and so what we are going to put in here, we need to fetch the src from our video. So how do we going to do that is that first let's add our check. So if we are there is no video, we don't want to return nothing, and we actually want to return nothing, we just want to return an empty div. So we are here going to return, and there it is going to say loading, and you don't have to video, you don't have video at the beginning, it's okay, it will just say loading. But if we do have video, we are going to fetch something from it. So we are going to create a new constant called video src, and we have a special url that we are going to use with data coming from our video. So we are going to type template returns. So backticks, if you have uk keyboard, it's the key left to the one key, and we are going to type http and then forward slash www.youtube.com/watch. So by this way, and in bit forward slash, and now inside of our here we're going to type $sign curly braces because we're going to use dynamic data. So we are going to use videos that id, that video id. Basically this is how we are going to fetch things right here. If we now do a console log, that log right here of our video that I did, that video id, you will see that this is actual data coming from our video. So let's get back, refresh and type something like test. When you press enter, you will see that in here we get at least get and that id. So if we do like this, and if we copy the whole string and then paste the id after the string, we can copy the whole url and paste it, let's say right here, to see if we get to this or if we do get the video. So we see we indeed get the src for the specific video. We can now get back knowing that we successfully fetched the video src. So this is all dynamic data, and now we are going to put it inside of here. So we are going to do src curly braces, and then we are going to put not the specific static url, but we are going to put video src that we just created above now, and let's fetch come some additional data from our video. So if we just cancel that log and our video and get back and type something like this, you can see that we all kinds of stuff right here. So we get kind of snippet id and stuff like. So let's see that we are going to need some necessary data and some human readable data. We're going to type typography. Typography is basically a paragraph or heading or any text. So this is just a material ui property and nothing else. Now we are going to have three typographies. First one is going to have a variant of h4. Second one is going to have a variant of subtitle. So we are going to type subtitle one, and third one is going to have a variant of subtitle two is two, and then inside of here we are going to fetch little. So we are going to go inside of here and we are going to type video. that snippet, that's title. And if we get back and if we check our console, where is it? If it looks like it refreshed, but if it when type again, we check our console, and if we go under snippet, here we have little channels, title and stuff like that. So we are going to fetch video. That snippet died little, and then and also we are going to do the video, that snippet, that channel title, so we know who created that video and should be it. Below we are going to fetch video, that snippet and that channel. So title the same as above, so we know who created it, and just below this should be the age, for this should be subtitle, and the third one should be subtitle. Now to and in here we are going to use video and that snippet, that description. So now let's check everything that we have to see what is going to look. So for now we have just loading, which is great, and now we can type something like test, and we wish we get our full cart with this video snippet review. This is our title, and with the channel title in here we also have channel title, and here we have the description. That is great. So we can get back, and that should be it for our video detail component. So that's it. Now we can do create video list. So video list is going to have video items in them. So if we just go under video list, first we need to create one separate video item. So we are going to create a new file, and it is going to be called video item. It is going to be a small preview of this whole video, just without the iframe of the whole video. We are going to go under video item, and inside of here we are going to do all the usual stuff. Import react from react, and inside of here we are going to import grid paper, and typography from material UI code. Okay, we're going to have another function based components called video item, which is going to be simple arrow function, and it is going to have a return, and it's out of here. Let's just say video item, and let's export it. So export default video item. Okay, that's it. The reason why we don't have it listed here, because the video will list is going to have the video items, and then we are just going to export the video list. So now let's create some boilerplate for the video list. So import react from react, import grid from add material UI, and then in here we are going to have another function based components, and inside of here we are going to have another function based components. This is a great time to explain why do we have so many function based components and only a few class based components. So basically this is a dummy component, this is also a dummy component, it doesn't have any state. So this also is a dummy based component. Basically we have some type data coming in, and where we are doing something with it, we are displaying. But this component, for example in class based, it has state and it has some methods, so it is much smarter. It needs to handle state also. This one handles quite a lot of logic right here. It needs to be class based, but not all components need to be smart. Some of them only need to be written or display some data. So we are going to have some return statement right here, and we are going to export it. So this we can type right here h1 video list, just like that. Now we need to export it, and the other two in components index as AAS, or so we are going to type video list from video list, and then we can now use it inside of our app. That is right here video list, and we can just uncomment this out and do as a component. So the video list right here, if we just, I went a bit too fast, so let's see what I did. We created a dummy component called video list, and inside of our text in components we exported it, and inside of our just this thing we imported in, and we are going to show it right here. So if you go back you can see what we have done with the video list, but you may be wondering where is the video item very going to use. So basically inside of our video list we are just going to map through array of video items. So we are going to do it like this. Above we are going to create a constant called list of videos, and it is going to be equal to videos that map. We are going to have an arrow function and we are going to do something in here, but for now we do not have this props called videos, so we are going to get it from the props. And if you remember, this is props and we can get it by typing props that videos, and but even simpler way to just simply destructure it. So props right here we are not getting it right now, but we, if we go under abdos, we just need to simply pass a prop and called videos, which will be equal to videos, and then these videos are coming from the states right here. And oh, this is a typo, so it should be videos right here, and then we can simply pop past them right here, but we need to destructure the videos from the state right here. So now we are getting property videos, and we can get back to into the video list, and now we can type for each video we need to return a component which is actually a video item. So we are going to import our video item from that slash video item. Okay, that's great, and we can simply return our video item for each of the videos. We have here need distract your videos here, not props. So we are going to do just that. It is done. We can just refresh, and instead of our video we are going to return list of videos. So return list of videos, and now if we go back to our browser and we type something, you can see that we indeed do have 5 videos item. That's great. So there is a slight warning here when you are mapping over properties right here, and we are going in this video list. We need to also provide some IDs, and we are going to have it right here, and the key of each video item is going to be a simple ID. So key is going to be id, and that id is coming from the videos. So the video, so we can also we know that each video has an id property. Okay, so then we can also provide a video. So all the info of the video, as we have said, are getting the data from 5 videos, and each of this is an object with all different properties. So to each video item we are going to provide its own video details. So it will are going to be the video. Now we can get back to our video item, and inside of here we can do something with it. As we have explained before, we can destructure it and the data we are just brought in, and then we can use it to display something. Okay, now we need to display this video properly. First we are going to have a grid which is going to be an item, because container will be in the video list. So container will be in the video list, so we are simply going to have an item, and it will take the full width of the container by typing x as 12. Inside of it we are going to have a paper, so it is going to be paper, and we are going to provide it with something styling. To style would be equal to flex display, that is the display flex. It will have a line item to center, and that's basically is for paper inside of here. And we will have an image, and in here we will be working with thumbnail data, and that videos provide us. So it is going to be self-closing tag, and then inside of here we are going to give it a style of margin right, which is going to be 20 pixel. And now we need to provide it with alt tag, which is just going to be thumbnail, and we need to provide it with an src. So SO key of this image, and the SS of this image will be that data one fetching in the video, and which is going to be the video, that's snippets, that's thumbnail, and that medium the URL. Basically if you want to take a look the data are getting. Once again you can go in here and type test, press enter. We can get some errors now, but inside of where you can inspect the data and see that indeed we are getting a snippet and thumbnail and medium and URL. So here we are getting the URL for that specific image, and just below the image we are getting to have a typography which is going to have a variant of site title 1, and inside of where we are going to have bold elements. So bold, and it will have the video, that snippet and that title, and that let's see what do we do. Get back to, there is an error right here, expect except the we are expecting the corresponding closing tag for a B, but it indeed is here. So what seems to be problem, that's it. The error was just slow. If you get back, refresh, type something like YouTube, press enter, we get some errors, and this is because cannot read thumbnails of undefined. That means that misspelled right here, which is okay. If we get back and refresh, type YouTube again, right now we can see we indeed got some cards right here. It looks great. When we get some thumbnail right here, and we get the main displayed right here, and this is also something styling that we need to do more. If we go back under the video list, right, and here we are going to add some additional styling. So instead of just returning a list of videos, we are going to return them in a grid container. So we are going to do it like this return, and we are simply going to type grid place this inside with curly braces, and to that grid we are going to provide type of container and spacing equal to 10. And as we said before, let's see how it looks right now. Let's type something related to JavaScript, and inside of here now you can see that we get nice looking data coming from the API with an iframe and also this little current slide. Here now if we click them, nothing happens, but we need to add load. For that, let's do just that. It is going to be as simple and providing another property to our video item, which is going to be called an video select, and we are simply going to provide it on video select. So this doesn't exist yet, we're going to do it is in this component, but we are simply going to fetch it as we did videos right here. So we are on the video select is going to be something that we are going to specify in the FJS. So inside of here you can see that we are providing it with videos, but we will also be providing it with on video select, which is going to be equal to on this, and that on video select which doesn't exist, but yet we are going to create it just now. So if we get back and if we create another method which is going to be called on video select, just a simple error function. An important thing to notice here is that we could have created the video on select right into the video list, but it wouldn't work because we need that data, and that is coming from the state right here. So inside of here we already have selected video, so we can also, you can simply pass it as state. So in this property we're going to have video as we specified right before, and it is going to just set. So this stays off and selected video, we need to put in an object. The video will be equal to video, okay, that's it. So let's inspect it on video select. It's being transferred to our video list. Inside of here we are passing it, and if we go into the video list we are passing it once again inside of our video list, and now we have access to right here in the video item. We can also get video list from one video and select, sorry, from the app. So it traversed two different components all the way from doors to the video list and the video item. In here we are getting that state, and in here we can specify on a click, and on click on the paper component we can type on click right here, and it is going to be equal, and we can type on click right here, and it is going to be equal to an arrow function, and which when user clicks on that we are going to call that video select and going to provide it with the correct video simple. And as that In here we can also provide some additional styling so it looks clickable, and we are going to give a style of cursor and that will be equal to pointer, so user knows that we can point to that. If we go back and if you type something like JavaScript, click enter, now we have this nicely placed little tabs. When you hover over this element, you indeed get a cursor, and now when you click on it, src, and all the data is being transferred to our main video detailed. And now we can choose between these items and see all the items right here, so we can just type right here and the video will indeed display. So let's see some of the videos. Let's, for example, search for async wait. I told you that I did a project on it, so if you don't know async, I think we will find it like this. I think of a real project, and as you can see, my video is coming in first. In here you can learn everything about async. I will wait. That's basically it. Now let's see if there is something else that we can do with our application, or is it completely done. We are going to repeat everything we are going to explain a bit more detail that we did right here. So if you don't understand everything right from the beginning, we're just going to go through it one more time, and we can last thing we can go just make to a bit better to create a life cycle method inside of our app. Yes, so at the top, just after this date, we can specify component did mount, and this basically means that everything inside of this function will be run immediately after the class component loads. So inside here we can just call the this that handle submit, and we can pass it a search term. So let's just comment this out and see how the app looks like now. So we just have an empty looking page at the beginning, but we can make it better with one simple line. So inside of here we can simply specify the search term that will show every time the page load. So let's see up there another video I did it before. It is a PDF generation with React Node, and then if we type back, and you now can see here that immediately we refresh, when you come down the page immediately glimpse get some data, so it doesn't look ugly from the beginning. But of course we can also search anything and the end will change immediately. Okay, now let's get back to the repeating everything that we learned in this video about. So React is about building this application, and let's close all of this. Now let's take a deep breath and congratulate you on coming to the end of this video. Let's repeat everything that you learned in this video. First, we created a new React app by running 3.8 React app, and then that generated this boilerplate hold for inside of the package that JSON. We install the necessary dependencies with where the Axios, which are Axios material UI in this case. We also deleted all the unnecessary code. We created our own in text, which is rendering in our whole application in the root of our directory, which is just a simple HTML page with a div that has a ID of root, and then inside of the src is where the magic happens. We have one more or one main component which is called the app.js. It does all the stuff, but to make it look a bit better, we simply imported all these blocks of code. So if we just didn't do search bar and separate component right here or video detail, we would have much less clutter, and we could have like 10 to 20 30 methods right here, a lot of codes right here basically of everything's item. Like search bar would have like 10 to 20 lines, so you need to put it right here. But this way, using React, we can simply create it as a separate component and import it like here. So index.js, we also learn how to actually call this component right here. Another great thing we learned is that how to pass props to our component. That is maybe the biggest thing you that have learned in this video, because we have a lot of passing properties right here. If we just go into the search bar and is getting this on form submit function from AB and figures inside of the search bar props, so we are getting it right here. But maybe the best example props passing on this video select, so we are creating it right here on the video select, then we are passing it to our video list, and right here, and then we are passing it to our level deeper into this video item right here, and then we are finally using it where, so we have learned a lot about passing props. Another thing is that is a bit of material UI. I said do another and tutorial so that you can just, and I said that you can just go through it. And also we learn a lot about setting state if you want to change state, and initially state which is just an empty array of videos and selected video of. Now when you want to change that state in React, you need to call this states update all the details. Another great thing we learned is about using Axios. So we created a whole new Axios instance right here and base URL, and you can call it inside of the app. And that's right. Here we have passed it all the parameters, and we have used async await to wait for the details. Then we put this detail of the videos in the videos, and then we have passed them all again. The way the video list, where the video list is actually mapping through them and using every specific video to create a new video item right here. And the last thing is the video detail, in which we are using the data coming from API to actually display the video. That's really, it was quite comprehensive video. If you come all the way if you come all the way to end, thank you. Feel free to just do it by yourself, and if you just learn it well, I will congratulate you, and then thank you for staying with the project.